As temperatures rise, tempers are flaring, and Republicans are starting to face the summer of resistance from Democrats. Notre Dame grads walking out during Vice President Mike Pence's commencement address. Students booing Secretary of Education Betsy DeVos. Heated town halls with Republican congressmen and anti-Trump protests at universities. Will these actions actually backfire for Democrats? To Red Alert Politics, Angela Morabito and former Director of Strategic Communications for Hillary Clinton, Adrian Elrod. Adrian, to you first. Clearly, the Democrats don't think that there's any downside to this.
No, look, first of all, what's happening out here is that people are very frustrated with the president. A lot of people who actually voted for Donald Trump are incredibly frustrated with the fact that he's not focusing on their issues that matter to them, and they're resisting. I just spent a couple days in Arkansas, where I'm from, and I will tell you there are a lot of Republicans out there who are now joining this resistance movement. They're showing up at town halls. They're showing up at rallies. They are asking their members of Congress why Donald Trump is not supporting an agenda that actually works for them.
But, Angela, what will work is actually getting people elected in the midterm elections, or even getting people elected at the local level. How does just resistance, and you see violence in some instances, but just saying no and using incredibly incendiary language, how does that really help the left agenda?
Well, I'm not sure that it helps the left at all. In fact, it might be backfiring on them completely. When the left protests, they show up, they shout people down, they walk out when Mike Pence speaks at graduation, and that just kills me, because at the moment you're celebrating what you've learned in college, you show that you have not learned to sit through a speech from someone you disagree with. All those kids who walked out, they just devalued their own educations, their own degrees that they've worked so hard for. And this is not to say that the right does not protest. We absolutely do. We just don't take to the streets. We just don't show up and yell at people. What we do is we use tools like social media, things like standunited.org, to find like-minded people who you won't find shouting someone down at a town hall because they disagree.
But you look at an instance like Betsy DeVos. She was invited to speak at this university, and then Adrian being booed. I don't know what that accomplishes.
Well, look, I will be one to say that I believe in protesting. I believe in the right to freedom of speech, but I also do support being respectful, when somebody is giving a commencement address, being respectful of the guests. But again, if we're going to talk about rallies, dangerous things that are happening at rallies, let's look at a Donald Trump rally. I mean, people are frustrated. People are incredibly worried about the state of our country, and they're frustrated that the president is not focusing on legislation that is actually helping them.
Well, you actually have the DNC and left and liberal organizations sending people to these town halls, Angela, to create scenes and disrupt them when these congressmen are trying to actually communicate with their constituents.
We're really seeing a huge level of hypocrisy from the Democrats and from the left, because for the past 8 years, what have we heard ad nauseum? It's the GOP must compromise. They're being obstructionist. They must meet us in the middle. Well, now the tables have turned. Now the tables have turned. And are the Democrats willing to compromise? No, the Democrats are trying to obstruct, and they're proud of it. They're proud of this resistance. They have no desire to move things forward under President Trump. So if the GOP wants to fill that space and become the party that moves the government along and creates progress, I think that can only help them. It's up to them to seize that moment.
Adrian, does obstruction and just saying no win you elections?
Look, here's what I will say. I will remind everybody here that Donald Trump, the House and the Senate are all controlled by Republicans, the White House, the House, and the Senate. This is completely the Republican agenda. Democrats are simply uniting their base, trying to energize their base as much as possible. But if Donald Trump wants to actually get something done, he's got a Republican Senate and a House to work with. And so far, he has not achieved really anything.
We will see. We will see. Adrian, great to see you. Thank you so much, Angela.
Thank you
as well. Happy Memorial Day.